On my screen, it says it is now streaming live on YouTube.
Yes, I know, but it hasn't started actually on YouTube. Oh, it has now. Okay. We are now there, I think. Right, okay. There goes them. So welcome to the March meeting of the List Parish Council Planning Committee. Do we have any apologies, Lizzie?
Apologies received from Councillor Hargreaves and Councillor Lindsley.
Thank you. So we now will do the declaration of interest and the standard introduction, which we have to do for these Zoom meetings, which I'm sure we've all grown used to now. So if I begin, I'm Councillor Keith Budden. I'm present. I am chairman of the List Parish Council Planning Committee. I have read the agenda and any deputations received, and I have no interest in declaring any of the items on tonight's agenda. Don.
I am Don Gerard, a member of List Parish Council's Planning Committee, and I'm present, and I have read the agenda and I have no interest to declare.
Thank you. Nick.
I'm Councillor Nick Wilson, member of the Planning Committee. I've read the agenda and relevant papers, and I have no interest to declare tonight.
Thank you. Claire.
Hello, I'm Councillor Claire Williams. I'm a member of the Planning Committee. I've read the agenda and the papers submitted, and I have no interest to declare on any of the items.
Thank you. Sheila? You're on mute, Sheila.
Sorry, I thought I'd unmuted it. I'm Sheila Baldwin, a member of List Parish Council Planning Committee. I confirm that I've read the agenda and all the papers associated with it, and I have no interest to declare.
Thank you. And Sue?
I'm Sue Halstead. I'm a co-opted member of List Parish Council Planning Committee. I've read the agenda and all the associated papers. I have nothing to declare, and as a co-opted member, I will not be voting on any of the applications.
Thank you. So we now move on to the approval of the minutes of the meeting of the 10th of March. They have been circulated. Does anyone have any comments on the minutes? Otherwise, can someone propose the minutes for acceptance, please?
Proposed.
Thanks, Claire. Someone to second? Nick, thank you. Anyone have any matters arising? No, good. Okay, so we'll move on then down the agenda.
Councillor Wilson has his hand up.
Oh, sorry, Nick, I missed you. You're on mute, Nick.
Apologies, I'm trying to stop you listening to my rustling. On P21.2, to do with the SANG, just a reflection from the meeting of the Lys Forest Residents Association Committee last night, where there was quite a discussion about the SANG with enthusiasm, but not a lot of knowledge of where it had come from, I thought. And in particular, it doesn't have a name. So it kept being referred to that as that field next to the Riverside Walk. And lots of people are walking there with their dogs, but it doesn't have a presence at the moment. And I don't know what you feel, Keith, but colleagues, but one possibility would be to drop a message to Carla suggesting they come up with an even more creative name than Andrews would. It needs to. People need to be able to say, like they say, the Riverside Walk. They need to have something better than the field next to the Riverside Walk. It's actually it's a gain to the community, which ought to sort of have something we can refer to.
I noticed Sue shaking her head at the suggestion that Charlie should name it.
I think when developers choose names, they might be given something like Hilliers Gift, and I would not like to have that. So much as Hilliers have not done anything wrong, but we've had some bad names put forward in the past. I would suggest you ask Lys Forest, or maybe not Lys Forest residents. It's not in Lys Forest, is it? But local residents, I think, might have a good idea for a name.
Can I suggest, Lizzie, that you ask Sarah to put it on the Facebook page and say, you know, come up with a name for it, and then I think we can then suggest that name to Charlotte, and hopefully they won't have a problem with it.
Yeah, so I put the original post about the SANG, so it would make sense if I follow that up with.
Okay, yeah, if you do it, then Lizzie,
but I think it probably is worth me asking Carla first, because vaguely, does anyone else remember about if there was going to be an information board included as part of the plan?
I think there was at one time.
I vaguely remember that there was. So it might be that they were already planning on having the name and the information behind it. So I'll just follow that up with them.
Okay.
But I think I would suggest it would be lovely to have a local name or something.
Perhaps word it along the lines of, we're thinking of asking the community to come up with a name. And
these are the names we think would be appropriate.
I was actually thinking of Budden's Field, but I'm not sure whether that would get the popular vote.
I'm sure it would, Nick. I'm sure it would. But you've thrown me now with that. Right. Okay. So, in which case, if there's no other matters arising, we'll move on to the planning applications. So the first one is Seaton, which is a very small change to the design of the windows in plot 1. I think from looking at the building today, as much as I could tell through the fence, I think this is a retrospective application. It looks like they've already made the change to the windows. So, but does anyone have any thoughts on it? Otherwise, I'm going to take this one as read, I think, because I don't think it really has any impact at all. Sheila.
Well, just something I noticed that somebody had objected and said the buildings are now higher than the 1.5 stories in the original application.
I don't know, that would be an issue for planning control, but I mean, to me, they look pretty much like they're as designed, I think. I've not seen anything that's made me think that's not quite what we agreed to.
No, well, we approved the second time round, so, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's for that individual to follow up with planning control if they've got an issue with it, but I don't think I've seen any problem with that. I mean, I think they are rather nice houses. I think actually the two have fitted onto that plot better than I thought they would when I looked at it from just the drawings. So, okay, so the next one then is 23 Greenfields, which is to replace the flat roof to the front of the house with a mono-pitched roof, add one new skylight and one new lantern to the existing garage, and to replace one existing skylight with a new unit. I need to let you share the screen, don't I? Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
I suddenly realised that. Okay, you should be able to now, I think, Lizzie. So it's a.
This is the one I couldn't read.
Yes, it is very faint. It's
Yeah, so I did ask the planning officer. She if they had any more documents, and I'm afraid she didn't have any others to offer me.
That's impossible to see.
Yeah. I mean that's basically my feel. I think we should say that essentially the documents provided, we can't really see clearly enough to make any decision.
It's probably all right because I think others have done similar things.
It's just very difficult to tell.
I think we should complain.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Should we also, while saying we couldn't make a judgment about the main point, just refer to dark skies. And
Yeah,
say
definitely.
that's
Yeah,
the one bit I could understand about it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I totally agree. We should make our normal comments about dark skies, essentially skylights. So I think that's all we can do on that one, because yeah, I fully agree. So I just, you know,
I don't think they should have been allowed to carry on.
I
with
don't.
plans like
I mean, my personal view is that I fail to see how the officer managed to validate that application, unless the view that he's getting on here on his or her screen is substantially better than the view that we're seeing, because it's the first time I've seen drawings that look like they were drawn through fog. But anyway, I think that's all we can do on that one. So we'll move on then to the next one, which is 71 and 71A Station Road, an address which is familiar to all of us, I'm sure. In this application, basically what the applicant wants to do is to fill in the gap between the two parts of the building that come out at the back. So it's essentially filling at ground level, filling the U. Which he's saying they need to do to provide increased floor space to the existing uses. So they're not proposing it will be new uses. They're proposing it will just provide expanded space. So it'll provide more space to puddle ducks on one side and to alpha graphics on the other. Anyone got any thoughts? Sue, do you have any thoughts on this?
My heart sank when I saw it, but actually I can't think of any reason myself as to why it would not be a reasonable planning solution.
Yeah.
Unless there's a flooding issue, which I don't think there would be.
I don't think it would be there. No, I'm minded to agree with you. I think I couldn't see a planning reason to object to it. Anyone else want to say? Nick?
Well, I mean, I agree that in fact, I mean, what it can't. There's no disadvantage I can see to it until Sue had said that there wasn't a flooding issue there. I thought, why don't they take the opportunity to make the French windows, the windows a bit higher, so there's less risk of flooding. That was my only thought, that you know, when they got the chance of actually doing something about the flooding,
Yeah,
they don't seem to be taking that chance.
no, that's very true. Sheila, any thoughts?
I didn't see any objection. The only thing is that during the building work, there might be possible disruption around about the level crossing area while it's being built, but that's inevitable, I would have thought.
Yeah, I think there's not much to do there. Claire, anything?
Nothing planning. It might make the building a little bit dark in the middle of it on the inside, but I don't think that's a planning consideration.
Don?
No, I can't see any problem at all, personally.
Yeah, okay, so we say no objection on that one, I think. Which I agree with Sue. My heart sank when I saw the address, but I don't admit this particular one is okay. Then we have Omega, Durford Wood, sorry, London Road, Sheets, which is just in our parish. Change of use of existing parcel of agricultural land to garden land associated with Omega. Has anyone got any comments on this one? If you've got a comment, just raise your hand, because if not, then Nick.
I mean, I sort of quite like gardens, so I was sort of in favour of it in principle, but I did sympathise with the neighbour who was concerned that at some future date they might put up some unsightly structures So I don't know whether it can be made a condition that a structure should not be erected without planning permission. But if it can, I would support that.
Yeah, I think that's probably good. I'm sure we could ask for that to be put in as a condition. Sheila, did you have something?
No, I agreed. I noticed there'd been an earlier request for a swimming pool. So whether that's under the title domestic activities, which they've mentioned, but I did notice that it says it's currently under construction. It's already becoming part of the garden. So
It's the existing house is new, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
I think it's a new property.
Yeah, because I seem to remember having an application in for there a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I had a look at it. It was for a really quite large house.
Yeah.
And it seemed to me that if you're going to have a large house, having a large garden seems reasonable.
Yeah.
However, if that's then taken as a means of building all sorts of other things on it, that doesn't seem to me to be reasonable.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think we can condition that. Don, anything?
How much agricultural land are we talking about? I probably should know the answer, but I don't. How much are we talking about?
I don't know off the top of my head, I must be honest, but it's not huge.
It's not huge because I personally never really like agricultural land being changed into gardens very much because it's the loss of agricultural land. But if it's only a small bit that's not going to be possibly used as agricultural land, then
I don't think it's ever been used for agriculture.
No, I think it's only ever been woodland, I think.
Only other point I would add, as in addition to the removing permitted development rights and conditioning that, which we talked about, is the question of how many trees there are there. I didn't go and have a look, but if there are a lot, there may be a need to look and see whether there's a need for a tree preservation order.
Yeah, I think we should ask officers to investigate that. So I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, well, I'm happy with what Sue's just said. I think that would be a good thing to look at the trees. But if it's mainly woodland anyway, I haven't got an objection of the loss of agricultural land.
Claire, anything?
No, nothing from me.
Okay. Are you okay with that, Lizzie?
That's just no objection, isn't it?
Yeah.
Except checking for the.
No objection, but checking on on whether we can apply that condition. So the next one then is 109 Station Road list, which is down by the rectory. It's a proposed oak building, which essentially is going to be a garage and a carport by the looks of it. Anyone, any thoughts on this? I mean, there is no. It's interesting how we've got one neighbour which is Reverend Chris Williams, who's in favour of it, and another neighbour, Bob Buckingham, who's against it. But Mr. Buckingham's against it because of the fact that it's near to the border of his property. And he also claims that it would have an effect on his kitchen window. But I'm having looked at I've not wandered around to have a look, but I had to look at the plans. I'm not convinced it's close enough to the property that it would have an impact on his actual windows.
I think all we might say is that, no objection, providing there is no adverse impact on the neighbour.
Yeah, I think you're right. Anyone, anything else? If you've got anything, raise your hand. Otherwise, I think I would agree with Sue that we say.
Right. Should we also say, as one of the neighbours has suggested, that we should request the arboriculturist's inspection of these trees that apparently there's a mature tree particularly that might damage.
Yeah, we could do that. Okay, other than that, everyone content?
Well, while we're at it, somebody ought to have a look at the drainage issue. It'd be a pity
Yes, that's true, I guess. Yeah.
Discover his neighbours is actually flooded as a result.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just giving the planning officer something to have a look at rather than just pushing it through on the nod.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair enough. I'm content with that. Okay, so then we come to the land west of the Flying Bull, London Road, erection of 7 numbered dwellings, including 2 affordable units. This is right on the border between us and Rogate. In fact, the site is within Rogate parish, I think. I'm minded to say that I think this is a attempt by the developer to get an application through before the Rogate neighbourhood plan becomes adopted. Because the neighbourhood plan for Rogate expressly says 5 properties in this space. We did originally have a position that wanted 7 here, which included spilling over into our parish, or the gardens would spill over into our parish. I think, looking at the plans, I think they've avoided that this time, but and so we're commenting on this effectively as a neighbouring authority. However, my personal view, I think, would be, and I'm open to college suggestions on this, but my personal view is, given that the Rogate plan, Rake and Rogate neighbourhood plan is about to be words gone.
Adopted.
Adopted, that's the word I was looking for.
It has another referendum yet, has it? It's still got the referendum to go.
No, I don't think so.
No, so it's got another referendum. That's true, yeah, and then be adopted. But given the stage it's at in its process through the, you know, I don't know. I'm open for other things. Personally, I feel we should get to it. But Nick.
Well, just on whether we have a locus in this, the call-in said that the majority of the land was in Chichester District Council, with some in East Hants.
Yeah.
Are you saying, Keith, that they've then amended it and it's none in our parish at all?
Well, I think the site has some in our parish, but I think the properties are all actually on the Chichester side of the boundary.
Yeah, you can see the line. The county line is that line that goes right through the Flying Bull. In the middle of the site. And
right. Sorry, I misinterpreted where the border is. Then, in which case, yeah, it does span the border again.
So
what the Rogate inspector on the Rogate plan said was that he couldn't give any outcome on the gardens which were in this parish, and therefore they would have to apply to the East Hants or National Park for the bit that was in list.
Yeah,
which is the gardens. I think it's not built on the list side of the boundary. I don't think. Does it show on here where the houses are going to be?
Yes, there is another. There's another drawing.
Is that possible to look at? Yeah, that'd be nice.
That one, I think. It took forever to load on mine, but it loaded quickly on here.
Yeah, so they go there, yes.
Oh, they are in our parish.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. If you look at where the line goes from that other line, which is roughly through
along there.
Through there, yeah.
So what I was going to say was, assuming we had a locus in this, the actual application says that the Rogate neighbourhood plan talks about 4 houses plus 1 affordable. So I think, we should, assuming that we would be supporting our colleagues in that parish, I'd say that this is overdevelopment. The other thing is, given that it is partly in our parish, looking at the houses, I found the design pretty uninspiring, and I would hazard that they don't comply with our village design statement. I haven't looked at it in detail than that. So I just wondered whether we shouldn't pile in a bit and object.
Yeah, I mean, I say when I looked at my objection was on the grounds of overdevelopment. That I think it is. Don.
I'm very worried about this one because of the traffic concerns. That's a very, I didn't realise that there was 5 houses proposed in the Rogate plan there, but that is a very dangerous bit of road most of the time. People go far too fast, including me, past it, I'm afraid. And that does worry me when I look where the exit is into where the houses will be. That's a very fast bit of road there. That really does bother me. Has anything been said from the traffic, from the Highways Department?
I don't think so at the moment. I don't believe it has. Although there is a proposal to put in a 30-mile-an-hour limit along that piece of road, but that is only a proposal at the moment.
Well, I've looked at the house nearest to the exit. I mean, the car's going to be sort of coming out and straight into the road. There's obviously a place in front of the house. I assume there is. Not sure actually. But to me, it looks dangerous from a traffic point of view, and that bothers me.
It was allocated as part of the Rogate plan, so in principle, housing in that location has been agreed. I don't know whether the access was identified.
I don't know. I can't remember, Sue, to be honest.
Well, it bothers me that involves 5 or 7 houses, but I suppose I could say that if it bothers me for 5,
yeah, no,
7.
I think it's a valid point, John. I think we can certainly raise that as part of our objection.
If their affordable housing is in our parish, can we count it as list?
I don't know if it identifies which is which. See.
Well, who gets the SIL money as well? That would be a point in respect to where it is.
I thought the 2 affordable ones for the right-hand end, it's just 2 semis, probably.
Right.
Yeah.
Does the fact that this, if it were to happen, is partly in our parish mean we would get some SIL funding?
Well, that's what we're asking.
Sorry, forgive me, I missed that.
I presume so. Yeah, I mean, I presume we would. I would presume so. I don't know for certain, but my presumption would be that we would, because the rules say that if it's in the parish, then we get SIL. But of course, if we were unlucky and the only 2 units in our parish were the affordable units, we wouldn't, because there isn't any SIL payable on affordable units. I don't know whether everyone's noticed that this application has actually been called in by the National Park for the decision. So, Sheila.
Well, I actually made 2.5 pages of notes on this because they'd obviously done their homework. They bring up all sorts of policies and guides that they think, and they make all these nebulous claims, such as these houses will be a benefit to local trade. Well, a garden centre and an upholsterers are about all the trade in Rake.
Yes.
And loads of things like, basically, the site is within access to public transport, and journeys by public transport are an entirely realistic option for future owners. Well, I don't think any buses or anything goes through Rake, does it? And no. I mean, the more I've read it, they make about 12 claims. And every time I read it, I was thinking, yeah, can't believe this. Will encourage the social spirit and spending power within the village, and will contribute to the housing need. Well, I don't think plot 3 with its underground swimming pool is actually going to contribute much to local housing needs. But then when I looked at it, I sort of looked at it, right, calm down, looked at it carefully. And I noticed the drainage engineer has made several complaints and has listed several conditions before he would give any consent. The access to the site is via the pub. And again, the affordable housing, which of course are the tiny weeny houses, which don't have any garages, their parking spaces are alongside the access from the road. And as Don said, it is a busy road. Yes, there is a 40-mile-per-hour limit, and it may be going to be a 30-mile-per-hour limit, but it's at the bottom of a hill, and cars do tend to accelerate a bit going downhill. So although they say in terms of balancing the level of harm versus benefits, there are going to be far more benefits. I think the benefits are all in the developers' minds. And I don't think it's going to give a great deal of social impetus to the village. And it talks about helping the pub to get back to sort of viable numbers, well, not from 7 houses. So I just got a bit cross because I noticed too that originally there were supposed to be only 4 houses. And it just seems they're cramming everything else in, except for this big house where presumably they're going to make lots of money.
Yeah. Okay. Sarah, any thoughts?
Nothing except to support what Nick said about while the Rake neighbourhood plan may not be adopted as yet, the spirit of it is there, and they've earmarked 4+1, not 7.
Okay, so I think then what I'm hearing is strong objection. We believe the site is overdevelopment. We do have concerns about the access and road safety, and we'd like that to be assessed by highways to give their view. And we are not convinced by I then it comes back to overdevelopment, I suppose. We're not convinced by the developer's argument of why there need to be that number of properties.
Can we say something about the design not being in keeping with the list neighbourhood plan?
And that the design is not taking any account of the list design statement.
And could we sort of say that while we might not have any objection to land within the parish of Liss being used as gardens, having built development within our parish is not compatible with our local plan.
Yes, I think that's a fair statement. Yeah. Okay.
I thought Sue was going to count them into our windfall in some future.
No, it's not windfall. It's an allocated site. I mean,
not by us. It isn't.
No, I know, but it was originally
it was a joke.
Rate local plan was putting a lot of housing up at Clayton Court as well. It was very easy for Rogate to out farm their housing up our way and not have so much. They've changed that now, to be fair. They have now got housing in the centre of Rogate.
But, so they're using the old Renault garage site. Okay, so then we move on to 92 Andrews Road, which is adjustment to the rear roof slope of the proposed detached unit. Can we have a look at the elevations, Lizzie?
Is that the one, Keith?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I personally couldn't see that there was anything on this to really object to, especially given that it's at the rear. Unless anyone else spotted something that I've missed. No, so no objection on that one, Lizzie. And then the next one is confusing because it's land northeast of Anders Ash, which of course is Anders Wood, is what they're talking about, and the extended operational hours. But the papers on the website refer to the causeway in Petersfield. I must admit, before I read the actual land at Causeway Farm, I thought Carla suddenly sold the site to Barrett's, and I didn't notice. But I don't think we can comment because we don't know what the proposal is, because the papers we got aren't the right ones.
But assuming that along with maybe the Causeway one, they are looking to extend their hours.
Yeah.
Particularly, I think on Saturday, which were from 8 till 1. And they want it sort of immediately. And I can see that now because the clocks have gone forward.
Yeah.
That we might be wise to actually say something about the hours. Are we comfortable with them working on Saturday, 7 o'clock from 7, 6 days a week?
Well, I mean,
8 till 1 on Saturday.
Yeah, I think my feel is that we've not. I mean, I know we had the initial complaints when the initial thing went in, which was to recover from COVID. But I've not personally, I've not had any complaints from anyone there since they've started working on a Saturday, unless anyone else has. Certainly, I've not had any as district councillor or as parish councillor. And I think they're going to argue probably, because of the hit on the economy and the hit on their time that they've had through the second lockdown, that probably it's going to be a hard one to argue, given as well that government policy is to basically allow them to do it.
Yeah.
Is there any chance that we can ask them to start at 8 instead of 7 on the after? Because it is very early to have noisy stuff going on.
There's no harm in us asking. Certainly, there's certainly, Claire. Yeah, we can ask.
I think they're starting at 7 now, aren't they? Sort of noises coming out.
I don't know, to be honest, but certainly, I mean, that they are certainly proceeding apace with the development now. It's it has now reached that stage, I think, where I only go past it sort of once a week or so, but every time we go past, there do seem to be distinct developments from the week before. It's
Well, if 8 o'clock during the week is a no-go, 8 o'clock on the Saturday.
8 on a Saturday would be a compromise, wouldn't it? Which, yeah, you'd hope they would agree to.
I don't think there's much difference between a Saturday and another weekday these days. I think you could argue on Sunday, of course, but Saturday is more and more becoming considered to be a working day. In fact, many countries it is, of course.
Well, yes, that's true, Don. Okay, well, we
sympathetic to the idea of moving it to 8 o'clock every day. I didn't know there was a 7 o'clock in the morning, actually, but obviously there is. But I don't see it. But I would prefer it to be 8 o'clock every day of the week, not just Saturday.
Okay, well, as I say, we can certainly ask. There's no harm in asking. As the old saying goes, don't ask, don't get. So, okay, so then we move on to applications which have been approved. It is 12 Coach Road, Cottages, Hawksley Road, 18 Riverside Close, 72 Anders Ash Road, Gorselands, 168 Anders Ash Road, 30 Greenfields, Knights Cottage, Great Road, 40B St Mary's Road, Brickfields, Hawksley Road. I don't think there are any particular surprises there, except possibly 18 Riverside Close, but
I think there's likely to be a lot of congestion up in that top of the Riverside Close there on that.
Yes.
When that happens.
Yes, I think you're
Nothing we can do about it.
I think you're absolutely right there, so. And then we got the application refused, which isn't actually in our parish, which was the Liss Forest Nursery site in Gresham. It got turned down by the National, it was called in by the National Park, got turned down by the National Park, and Don will probably be best placed to advise on this, but as I understand it, Don, that the decision that it was turned down has been warmly received in Gresham.
Yeah.
Applications withdrawn, 36 Rushfield Road. TPO applications, We've got one in Wood Close, Hillborough Road, one in Summerfield Terrace, and TPO is approved. We've got the one at Chase Road at the end of my estate, the land adjacent to Hollow House in Hillborough Road, and Grafton in Huntsbottom Lane. The neighbourhood plan development update, I don't think there really is anything.
Chair, could I, while we're on TPOs, could I just raise something on behalf of Liss Forest Residents Association?
Yeah.
There was quite a discussion about the extent of very tall trees in this forest, but particularly in Pine Walk. And walking around there, around Pine Walk today, I can see why residents might be quite alarmed. The trees are, because they're pines, jolly tall, and definitely within easy falling distance of people's houses. I'm grateful to Lizzie for her advice that they should, well, we should get the tree warden to have a look. Could I just check, is that something that the residents themselves can ask, or do we need to ask them formally as parish council?
No, that's something the residents can request.
I mean, I can let them know that the chances are, unless Mark thinks that they are dangerous, dangerous enough for the actual trunk to snap, then the likelihood is that he would, the most he would do would be to go for surgery. But to be honest, looking at the pine trees, because of the shape of pine trees, if you start lopping bits off them, they start looking very ugly. So I don't know how that would work. But I just thought it was, the problem about trees is they get old.
Yeah. And
I thought this, how does one get a TPO removed was quite a good question.
Is that
in this?
I mean, essentially, it's very difficult because unless the tree is in danger of sort of falling, then it's very unlikely that the district council will agree to remove the TPO. That's not the same as saying there can't be any work done on the tree, because that, as we know, that's a separate issue. But actually removing the TPO is very rare. In fact, I'm looking at Sue, but I'm struggling to remember any TPOs being removed locally.
No, there was sometimes agree to them being removed, but then you would have to replace it with something similar in a similar location. So it might be smaller initially. Yeah.
That's helpful, thank you. But I'll give them Mark's details and advise them of what we've just discussed. Thank you very much.
Yeah, because again, I mean, essentially, with in today's limited financial climate as well, of course, he will probably want paying to examine them, and that's not something which we have a budget for. So it would fall to them to agree that with him themselves. Update on the Carla development. Well, as I say, other than the fact that it is proceeding at pace, don't actually have any update unless anyone's got anything they've spotted that has given concern, or anything that's been raised as a matter of concern. No, in which case then we come on to any other business. So I'll quickly go around. Nick.
I just wondered whether Lizzie could give us a trailer for this presentation we're due to have at the next meeting. What's in store for us?
Oh, right, okay.
I'm afraid I don't actually know much more than the email that was sent round. So it's a development company. It's just wanting to run some proposals past and to get a feel for how an application would go. That's simply it. Keith, do you know anything more?
No, I mean that's basically it. I think. I mean they ideally wanted to have it before tonight's meeting, but that just wasn't possible in the timescale. So we will be having that 30-minute meeting at 6:45 on the 28th. It will be an informal meeting. It's not a formal council meeting, but it will just give them an opportunity to present to us, and we can give our views. I would remind councillors that as it is an informal meeting, then what we're showing is essentially to be taken in confidence and not distributed to the community until such time as the planning application is submitted. 2 reasons: one, because that's commercially confidential with the developer, and secondly, because of course, based on our feedback, what we see may not be what gets submitted for planning anyway, and we've certainly had that in the past where we've submitted feedback. And
they're only talking about the sort of landscape and layout, aren't they? Now they're saying that
yes,
design of the houses come along behind.
yeah,
Unless they've done it in the month that they've had.
yes, yeah. I mean, the principal issue, I think, is that they do seem to have reached agreement on the access off of Farnham Road, which removes the need for a second access for the other side, which is something which we've objected strongly to in the past. So hopefully that's a positive step forward. Yeah, I think that's fair to say. So, Claire, anything? No. Sheila, any other business?
No.
Don?
No.
Sue? No. Okay, so meeting concluded at 8:20 by my clock. So thank you, everyone. Next planning meeting, as I say, will be on Wednesday 28th at 7:30, but bear in mind, as I say, we got that pre-application, the presentation by developers first at 6:45. And unfortunately, because of the way it's done on Zoom, we will have to make that 2 meetings, so we will all have to log off and log back on again.
Okay.
Okay, I think that's it.
Thank
So
you. Happy
thanks,
Easter, everybody.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, everybody.
Oh,
Thank
okay,
Bye,
thanks.
everyone.
Happy
Bye.
Easter.
Bye.